Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Three Men in Football. All right, lads.
All right, Simon, Thomas.
All right, boys. How are we doing?
All good. See, you've got a nice little football top on there, Daz.
Yeah, I've gone for the home jersey of Aston Villa from a couple of years ago when I was younger, shall we say. Special birthday.
Turn around, Darren. Show us the back.
Was that your 50th, Daz?
Hey, shall I leave me top on?
Just turn round, Darren.
Oh, look at that.
It was a gift off my circuit. I know you don't think I do any work. Off my circuit training group a couple of years back. So I haven't seen them since. I don't know why.
So I'm actually wearing Real Madrid jersey from a number of years ago. I like a football jersey as long as it's not a Liverpool one, because you're not allowed. Thomas, not making an effort this week again.
I don't own a football jersey, I've told you.
All right. You've told us the story. But what you have got is you've just been telling us that, you know, again, we like to break down the fourth wall, that you've got your computer sat on top of your knitting box.
That's right, yeah. The wife's knitting box.
Do you do a lot of knitting?
Yeah, do loads.
Or crocheting?
Crocheting, mate. Crochet.
Can you make us a blanket?
If you'd like to put orders in for blankets for Christmas and Facebook will have a message, Thomas will get one for you.
Yeah, but Daz, just remember that I only do them with a Liverpool badge on.
Any red colour you want.
All right, so we're going to get started this week with some feedback as normal. See what crap we've been given by our listeners. Again, gone well this week. Got some good feedback, especially on YouTube. Loads of listeners across the different platforms. What I would say is that if you do watch us on YouTube, then subscribe and hit the bell next to the subscribe button, so then you'll get a notice every time we put a new episode up and you won't miss one. It's important not to miss one of these episodes unless you're doing it deliberately, so you don't have to listen to our crap twice a week.
It's the fastest growing podcast in this house.
Yeah. Cool, because you keep playing it.
You live on your own, Darren.
Right, the fastest growing podcast in this house.
All right, so let me get to the comments. So we've had some really good ones this week, as normal. So the first one is, great video. Aguero's league winner and Maradona's performance against England are the top moments for me. Who would you say are the best Premier League players of all time? And that's from Shep Riley, who is the son of a mate of mine, Matt Riley. They live in Portland in the States. And Shep's a big football fan. And his question is pretty apt, because this week we're going to talk about something that relates. So we'll go through some of that later on. But thanks, Shep. That's his first comment. He's loving the podcast, liking the interaction with the lads. And because his dad knows absolutely nothing about football, he gets some interaction with people who actually have an idea what they're talking about. Well,
Sorry, how old is he?
Oh, he's a teenager.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Good lad.
Yeah.
So, next comment. Fantastic, lads. Best episode yet. My greatest football moments has to be Istanbul. But one that gets me all the time is Jonas Gutierrez of Newcastle. The guy battled cancer and on his return scored the winning goal to secure his side's safety from relegation. Newcastle had lost 9 from the previous 11. Can you imagine coming back from the depths of despair to absolute ecstasy in 18 months? And that's from Baby Perlo or Thomas's one fan, Dan from Kirby.
I've actually just seen a picture recently today of him when he scored the goal. His top's off, shirt around the top of his head, and it's just fairy tale, isn't it, in many ways?
Well, we talked about mental health on the last one, and you think about what these players go through, and then think about that on top of it. I mean,
yeah,
they could push anyone to the edge, and then to come back and score a goal like that, I love that. That's a great comment.
Absolute hero for doing that.
Yeah. Okay, next comment. This is brilliant. This is who I would have play Thomas in the movie. It was the comment, and then there was a picture of a Mr. Man, and it was Mr. Angry. And that was from Andy McFarlane. He also said, and this is the best one we had all week, Daz, is that a shower curtain behind you? I'm worried that you may be sitting on the bog, and that thought frightens me.
You know what? I've had to change this week. I read the comments and thought, I can't have that. I can't have that. How'd you get the toilet paper in?
Oh, brilliant. So he actually thought that you were sat on the toilet with the shower curtain next to you.
And listen, I might talk shite, but come on.
Well done, Andy. You just made Darren swear. It only happens once a year.
Yeah, won't happen again.
That was from Andy McFarlane again. A couple
mate.
of shout-outs. Adam Scragg, still listening and giving us good feedback. Martino Prada, who was a guy that I played football against in the States. Good lad, really good footballer. I'm still living over there in California. In fact, I think he's just moved to somewhere else in the States. And then the last one is Daniel Grant Hanlon, who is another listener who, again, gives us really good feedback, comments all the time, and is very active on the Facebook page. Really appreciate you listening. We appreciate it even more when you give us feedback. We're getting loads of positive feedback. Keep it coming. Gives us great things to talk about every week. Any that stood out for you and Daz? Any comments that you'd like to bring up?
Danny Grant Hanlon is the actual name of Dan, who's the fan in Kirby.
Oh, is that actually Dan?
That's Dan, yeah.
Oh, see, I can't believe that he's got 2 comments in because he's given us the his YouTube name, and now he's given us his.
It almost makes me think Thomas has had 2 fans. Now I don't want to. Be careful with this, and a disclaimer will go on this podcast regarding fan mail.
Yeah,
and disguising it as other people, Dan.
Yeah, well done, Dan. That was a good one, that.
Well, Si, can I got a little bit of bad news, and I've got to put it out to one of Darren's friends. I think it's a Laura Watson, who mentioned about I inspired her to get a bottle of Sol. But I need to just let you know, I've lost my sponsorship deal with Sol. That's gone because I ran out. So now taking out a new sponsorship deal with Budweiser. So Laura, if you're watching, we're going to have a Budweiser this week. And if I inspired you to have a Sol, try one of these. They're really nice cold. And if any breweries are out there watching and want to just send us any free samples, 3 Men in a Football via Facebook, YouTube, will be made up. Thank you very much.
I love it. So last week we were talking about you being in a movie, and the feedback was you would be played by Victor Meldrew, which I thought was brilliant. And this week you're doing a read. Can't believe it.
I mean, we're showing our skills off. We're not wooden now. We're getting a little bit more experienced, a little bit more relaxed. We can really have a good go.
I love it.
So if anyone would like us to sponsor their carpet shop, tile warehouse, anything like that, come to us, hit us up. Cheap rates.
If any plasterers want to practice on my 3 bedrooms, get in touch.
Darren, that's my gig. Pack it in.
All right. So this week's topic is a good one. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks and thinking we'll put it in at some stage. And this is the week. So the topic is the greatest foreign Premier League players. So the Premier League has been going now for almost 30 years. We're not in the 30th year, are we? Just short of 30 years. And we wanted to talk about the best foreign imports during that time. And obviously what's happened over that time is the number of foreign imports has increased. And then they've had more and more significance in what's gone on with the league. But right throughout, since the early 90s, we've had some great players. And we wanted to talk about them. And then we will end by picking our own top 3. So really get ready. And you're going 3-1 as well. Don't be doing this whole I didn't work it out, and you're going 3-1. Yeah.
I'm struggling. I can't pick a top 3.
All right. Well, go on, Daz.
I'm struggling.
You've thrown that one in, haven't you? We can just go 3-2-1.
No, you've got. So we're going to talk about loads of people, and then you're going to have to select the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st.
Is Southall classed as from Wales? Is that foreign?
If you pick Southall again, people are going to really fall out with you, especially Leon.
So I want to first mention someone who's been in the Premier League for a number of years and played for 2, actually played for 3 or 4 clubs in the end. But he started off with my club. He started off at Villa. Graham Taylor noticed him on a West Indies tour back in the 80s, I think it was, in early 90s, and it was Dwight York.
Oh, brilliant.
And Dwight York, we got him on a free, I think it was. And he came over and he didn't play a lot of games in the first season. I don't think even the second season. But then he became an absolute star. And he captained us for a bit. And then he went on to have a great career at Man United, of course, the treble-winning team he was involved in, I think.
Yeah.
And he was a quality player, played with a smile on his face, could beat a man, score goals, worked hard. Yeah, he was a great leader. His only fault, I think, was his relationships off the pitch, with certain female.
Jordan. He played with Jordan for a while, didn't he?
He did play with Jordan, and I think he got caught offside a couple of times, if we're honest.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good one, that does. I like that.
What a player. And I think, he often gets overlooked because he wasn't the big star, if you like, but quality all around.
All right, so I'll throw one out. How about David Ginola?
Another Villa player. Are we doing Villa players or podcast?
What a player he was.
Fabulous.
I mean, at Newcastle, he was outstanding, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think they were his best years in the Premiership.
Yeah, I think for me, Ginola, what I loved about him, he wasn't what I would call traditional winger. He could go inside, outside, left foot, right foot. He was just a dream. And no one had really heard of him before he came to Newcastle. I think that's what I quite liked. He wasn't the star. He didn't do much for the French national team, though, did he?
No. Well, he fell out with them, didn't he? And then he missed the World Cup winning team as well. And he was actually in the announcers box for that game. And Guy Lineker talks about him being really pissed off that he wasn't included. But he kept it under control, but he wasn't happy at all.
Wasn't it around that time that he just won Player of the Year?
Yeah. He was brilliant.
He was at the height of his game, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he was at Spurs, wasn't he? Wasn't he at Spurs?
Yeah.
And he came to Villa. And when he was at Villa, he still had a little bit, but he was going towards the end of his career, really. But when he gets the ball, he's one of them players, he lights up the stadium. And I think, those players are few far between these days, because we've got, I think, a lot of foreign imports who've been journeymen. And, but these guys, Ginola could light up a stadium and score 35-yard screamers.
But what he did was, do you know what I love what he did? He'd run with the ball, right? And the ball wouldn't move. And it was all body movement.
Yeah.
So he'd move around the ball, which would put the defender off. He's not doing much with the ball at all, but he's just so fast. And everyone's so worried about getting to him. Great player.
And as a defender, you don't know which way to take him.
Exactly. And then as soon as he gets in the box, no one wants to tackle him. Right through him. Go on, Tom, who have you got?
Right, I have gone for the little magician, Gianfranco Zola.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yes.
Really good shot.
He was one of the... To be honest, I hate Chelsea as a football club. I hate everything they stand for. I can't stand them. But they have had an absolutely fabulous policy, bringing some absolute belter stars to the Stamford Bridge. And he was like at the beginning, wasn't he? With Vialli and Ruud Gullit. Yeah. And then you had Zola. But Zola, what a player. What a touch. And talking about like shaking it out of your boots. I watched the video the other day of him shaking Carragher out of his boots by the corner flag. Carragher fell over 4 times. And then he still ran past him. And I was thinking, oh my God, what a player. Free kicks. Just the man had mad skills. But just one goal in particular done it for me. His back heel flick from that corner.
Oh, yeah.
Into the top corner. Absolute worldie of a goal.
Yeah.
Do you remember his chip over the defence for Poyet to go and volley it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
just like, wow.
They were brilliant at that stage. But, you say that he was amazing. He was on Soccer AM. I think it was last week or the week before. Well, they were showing it last week. And he was doing the free kicks outside. And he literally couldn't hit a barn door. The first 5. And he got a touch of it. But Bullard looked outstanding in comparison, which you just wouldn't think, given how good Zola was.
He's old man now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, definitely. He's really short as well. Tiny. Speaking of tiny, how about Sergio Aguero?
Oh, quality. Brilliant.
Got to be on the list somewhere, Annie. I mean, done amazing things. Won the Premier League for City. We talked about that in the greatest moments. But what a player. And you mentioned the other week, Thomas, as well as that. Aguero gets left out a lot of the time for Jesus. He'd walk into any other Premier League team.
Yeah. I think people forget how long he's been at City as well. He's been at City for quite a number of years now, hasn't
he? 2011.
Yeah. And normally they stay for 3, maybe 4 years maximum, and then they move on. But he seems to have stayed there. And, Martin Tyler, he will always be in the history books because of how Martin Tyler's, that goal against QPR.
Yeah.
Was just phenomenal.
for me, he's definitely up there with the greatest strikers in the world as a goal scorer. And I think if it wasn't for injuries and over the last couple of years missing quite a lot of games, his goal scoring record wouldn't be that far off Alan Shearer's. He's that good, and his numbers are that high on a regular basis. He'd be up there as one of the all-time leading goal scorers. I'm not sure how far off he is. I didn't check how many goals he's got in the Premiership, but if he were, fitness and playing a few more games, he'd definitely be up there with Shearer. Quality striker.
Related to Maradona in some capacity? No.
His son-in-law?
He's married to his daughter.
Yeah. What a family that is.
Hey, his son or whatever's got to be good.
Imagine a kick around with that family and then the drinks afterwards.
After party, that'd be brilliant.
So how about in the same team as him now, while we're at it, David Silva?
Oh, quality.
Yeah.
I mean, in that team, he looks like a world beater. You almost think as well as, Xavi, Iniesta, if he'd have played in that kind of team as well, he'd have gone on to be one of the best players ever when they were at their best. But has done great for City.
Yeah, I like those players who will almost find the impossible pass, and he's one of them. The vision that he has is stunning, and he likes it when there's players running off him all the time, because he looks at that big picture in that split second, and the pass is being made.
Yeah.
What I like about him is where a player who's at the height of their ability and is one of the top players in the world, they always want the ball, even if there's a player a yard in front of them, behind them, to the side of them. They always want the ball, and they're not bothered about the player impacting on what they're going to do, because they know what they're going to do before they get it. They know that player's there, and actually, half the time, they're using that player as a decoy to create space for somebody else. And their little subtle movements and being able to have the ball under immense pressure is why he's definitely up there with one of the greats in the Premiership. Definitely.
But you think about the best players that we've played with, Daz, over the years. They're players who constantly demand the ball, and what you find is the better players are like that every week.
Yeah.
Even at our amateur level, the players who are, flair players, when they're on blob, they want the ball. When they're not, they just go missing.
So David Silva, David Villa?
David Silva.
David Silva reminds me of like Matty Kearney, who we used to play with. Yeah. And he, always wanting the ball, would know how to get past the player, would know how to turn a player, thread that pass through. A quality footballer. I think his brother played professional, didn't he?
Yeah. It was Burnley.
Yeah, and his sister was Gillian, the actress or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's a talented family.
Yeah.
All right, so who have you got?
Well, there's one for you. Signed for Tottenham around about 1994-95 season. I would argue that he was probably the first almost world star who came to the Premier League, and Jurgen Klinsmann.
Oh, what a player.
And they signed him for $2 million, I think it was. I just felt, for me, I think he played with Sheringham that season, and it was just stunning. What was interesting is the legacy he's almost left is that diving side of the game, which is quite sad, really, because he scored some superb goals. And I think was Anderson in that team as well at the time.
And Anderson,
Yeah, and he used to put the ball over. But Klinsmann, he used to do that thing where he flicked his neck back, chest out, and his legs would go everywhere. But the quality footballer. And what was interesting is Tottenham fans didn't really like him at the beginning. He 1990 World Cup beat England, and then German coming over to Tottenham. It just didn't sit right. After the first couple of games, that was it. He was a hero.
Yeah.
And there's always been talk of him coming back to manage the club, because I think he's still held in high regard. But what an absolute brilliant player.
Yeah, great player. At a time when we needed great players in the Premiership as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did great for Tottenham.
There was talk, actually, of him being interviewed for the Liverpool job, or he did get interviewed for the Liverpool job around Brendan Rodgers' area, I think it was.
Didn't they fly out to America to do that?
Yeah.
The owners at the time.
They live in America.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had that discussion, I think you're right.
Yeah. But they flew Rodgers out, and I think they spoke to Jurgen Klinsmann. I've got a cracker for you, and he's got to be up there with close to being in the top three. Dennis Bergkamp.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that goal he scored against Newcastle? Well, there's two goals in particular that I still remember. The goal against Newcastle, which was out of this world. But one just as good was in the Euros or the World Cup. Had to be the World Cup against Argentina.
Yeah.
Where they got long ball from their own half and it on the angle towards the edge of the area. He brought it down with his right foot, skipped it on the inside of the advancing defender. The defender ran past him, another touch, and then it's it with outside his foot into the top corner.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable goal.
But that one against Newcastle was just, I don't even know how he did it. Because I listened to Righty talk about it a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying he's talked to him about it. And people say, oh, he didn't mean it. He was like, well, what's meaning it? When you hit a shot and it goes in the top corner, you mean it to go in. It doesn't matter whether it's literally in a stanchion or next to it. But it's deliberate. He said it come to him, and he didn't have time to think because momentum was taking him past the defender. So he had no choice but to touch it with his other foot. And then because his momentum was taking him, he just decided to go that way around him. And then what he did was use the strength to hold him off. And if you remember, he just side-footed it in. I mean, that's some ability, that. To be able to think that quickly.
Yeah, his ability all around the pitch was outstanding. So he could dictate play. He'd drop into midfield or just off the front, get the ball. He brought players into play. He also sucked defenders out from the back. They'd follow him thinking like he's having too much of an impact here in the game. And then he'd create space for players running off him. He was just superb.
Wasn't there a time when, was it Inter Milan? He wasn't quite doing it at Inter Milan or something. And Bruce Rioch signed him, I think, for Arsenal.
Yeah.
For 7.5 or around that £1 million. And he again started that Arsenal sort of revolution of, after that, I think Wenger came in like the November or something. And then suddenly all those French players came in and Henry came in and Petit and Vieira and all those quality players. So he just had runners everywhere and he could just pick that pass all the time. And what was great is, I don't think he was particularly speedy, but his brain worked quicker than anybody else's.
Yeah. I mean, he was brilliant. He was ahead of everyone else on the pitch. I think that was the main difference with him. But apparently, he was really, really harsh in training with the other players as well. So, like, he put an elbow in on people all the time. Like, he just didn't, like, constantly wanted to win, would put himself about, no matter what it was, whether it was training or in a game. Because I think when you've got that much drive to win, that's what you're going to do.
Interesting fact is he didn't like to fly.
Yeah.
So when Arsenal were in Europe, he used to go overland 2 days before, or he wouldn't play.
Yeah.
The really far ones, he wouldn't go, would he?
Yeah, wouldn't go to Russia or anything like that.
But you just mentioned that someone else, Patrick Vieira.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, and we've been lucky at Liverpool to have people like Steve McMahon, Steven Gerrard, and great midfielders. Didier Amann, what a player. We've had some great players at Liverpool. But I tell you what, he revolutionised playing in midfield, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that whole box-to-box mentality. He had energy to burn all day. He was aggressive in every tackle, but had the ability of a centre-forward. He was outstanding.
And he was almost unknown as well when he came over. And I remember reading an article on Wenger's scouting system when he came over, and he spoke to the head scout when he first came over and said, "Have you got a passport?" And no, he said, "Get one, you'll need it every day." And that was the type of scouting system Arsenal set up. They went everywhere for these players. And you'd look at the foreign players they've had in over the years. I mean, there's been some duds, but generally quality players. And Wenger almost had a system where he used to say to them, I want athletic players. We can coach them, get athletic players. Yeah. And that's an interesting philosophy there, really, of what Arsenal were looking at. And those Invincibles, they were all athletic.
Yeah, brilliant.
You just hit the nail on the head with him there. He sort of changed the dynamics of midfield for a lot of teams right around the world, but certainly in England, people just went out and bought really huge, athletic, strong, physically domineering men to run around midfield. And they then thought about training them up to play football. They were just machines that were coming through right the way through all the leagues. Huge athletes.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And then playing in there with Petit as well. Petit was quality. I wouldn't put him on this list, but he was a quality player.
Yeah.
And they had a great partnership in the middle. And then talking about another midfielder, and again along the same lines, Yaya Toure.
Yes. He was almost like a Mark II, wasn't he, Patrick Vieira?
Yeah. And he was coming to the end, like not the end of his career, but later in his career. But there was a couple of years at City where he just dominated.
Yeah.
Again, he's another one who just had the lot. He was tall, he was bulky, he could put himself about, but he had loads of energy. And then actually you're seeing, as he got to the end of his career, he still had loads of ability, but he just couldn't do what he'd done before, go box to box.
I actually think... Sorry, go on, Thomas.
He always reminded me that, or I always thought that he was playing in slow motion.
Yeah.
He was that good that everything, he seemed to do everything really slowly, but it wasn't. It was just that he had that much time and his ability was that good. He just done everything like dead nonchalant all around the pitch. He was brilliant.
He almost seemed to glide through games, and then if it wasn't going his way, he'd grab the game by the scruff of its neck and just go for it then. And you'd just bounce players off him and he'd score a goal. And it's still like, I'll wait till I need to do it and then I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, great player. All right, who have you got?
I've got probably either the best or the second best goalie to grace the Premiership. I've got Peter Cech.
Yeah.
He was outstanding until he had that head injury. I think no one was even close to being as good as him. He was outstanding goalkeeper. And I think he holds all the records in the Premiership for most clean sheets, hours without conceding a goal, time, just every goalkeeping record you can imagine. I think Peter Cech holds them.
Yeah, he was great.
I think coming back from that injury was testament to his ability and his strength as a person, because that was a nasty head injury he got. But again, he was absolute quality. Not so great with his feet, but that was at a time when he didn't need to be, I don't think. I think it's changed again. But he played on till late 30s, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, he played for a long time, didn't he? And then you got along the same lines, David De Gea. I mean, at one stage, he was the best keeper in the world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't last very long, but for a while, he was the best keeper. Maybe 2 years, best keeper in the world.
So here's one, speaking of Man United, from Peter Schmeichel. They got from Brøndby for something like £550,000. He was an unknown. Look at the career. For me, he revolutionised goalkeeping because the way he used to stay up longer and he come out like a starfish.
Yeah.
And he almost used to frighten strikers into not scoring. And I think he needs to be in the mix there. But I think people forget when they talk about foreign imports, most people just look at midfield players and attackers. And I think the goalkeepers that we've had, we spoke about it on another podcast from a question. But Peter Schmeichel, for me, I'd put him right up there and say he's the best Premier League goalkeeper.
I'd agree. He's number one on my list for keepers. What I loved as well was Gary Neville talks about the fact that he used to tell the defenders to not block shots. So if you can't block it, if it's going to deflect off you, don't get in the way.
Yeah.
Because as far as he was concerned, he'd back himself against anyone. And actually, like Gary Neville, they were told, don't slide in, don't try and deflect the shot because you're just going to make it more difficult. I'd rather just take the shots.
Wow.
I mean, that's like saying to a wall, just get out the way there, just let him shoot from 30 yards. Yeah. I'm good.
Malcolm Allison, by the way, used to say that. Malcolm Allison used to say to his team, don't put a wall up because it gives them an angle for the shot on free kicks.
Yeah.
That was in the 70s.
Wow. All right, who else you got, Tom?
I've got El Nino, Fernando Torres.
Yeah.
The impact that Torres had on Liverpool and the Premiership, he took it by storm them first 2 years. He was just absolutely amazing. From his debut, we had Chelsea at home on his first game, and he absolutely destroyed John Terry. Yeah. He destroyed him, if you remember, just went at him. He was a breath of fresh air. He just got the ball, faced up the player that he wanted to go at, and he just ran straight at them. Little drop of the shoulder. He was lightning, and he passed him, and then just top corner, bottom corner. He was magic. Only shame was he destroyed his legacy by signing for that awful club. But
then goes there, and it just goes downhill really quickly. He was absolutely useless at Chelsea.
Yeah. I think it was happening at Liverpool. If I'm going to be honest, I think I seen Carragher talk about it a couple of weeks ago, and they'd noticed it was either they thought it was he was pushing for a move and he just down tools, but then looking on it, he started playing. I think he made Atletico Madrid's first team when he was 16 or 17, and I think he's done a Michael Owen. I think he's done, his prime was 18, 20, 21, and then he's come to Liverpool. It's his straps, been absolutely amazing. And then injuries or just his body's just started to slow down and he just struggled. But for them 2 years, wow, what a player. What a player.
Brilliant. I love watching him. Him and Gerrard together were fantastic. And again, Gerrard talks about that partnership between him and Torres and him and Suarez.
Yeah.
How would you pick between them as a partnership? They were amazing. Very different players, but impacted the game in similar ways when they were at their best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Torres has got everything in his locker to be one of the top strikers in Europe at that time, and he was on fire.
Yeah,
absolutely on fire. And when Gerrard's got a runner like that, you
can't get close to him, can you? But then it was the same when Gerrard had Michael Owen as well. Michael Owen would run the channels all day, and Gerrard's going to find that pass every time.
Yeah. Well, while you're talking about Torres and then Gerrard and then Suarez, why don't we hit on Suarez? Because the man was a magician.
Yeah.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. He could nutmeg a mermaid. He was that good.
He could mermaid a nutmeg.
Mermaid a nutmeg.
Yeah, we got it right in the end.
Can we cut that sign? Any chance we could make him sound plausible?
We'll cut that. Yeah, you can nutmeg a mermaid.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I mean, at the time as well, Liverpool had an all right team, but we weren't great. And the difference was Gerrard and Suarez were just brilliant, especially because Gerrard then pushed up and was playing in behind the forward as well. And that made a massive difference because he pushes the game so far up. And playing that so far up the park, it gives Suarez loads of chances.
Yeah. He also had Sturridge. He was, that first season with Sturridge was absolutely on fire. You know, he'd had no injuries. He scored a shed load of goals.
Yeah.
We had Sterling just coming through into the team. We were really, really attacking under Rodgers. It was just a great time to watch Liverpool. And it's just an absolute shame we didn't go on to win something with him.
Yeah. Daz, who have you got?
Well, moving on from the Liverpool Love Fest, we'll move on to 1995. And there was not many South Americans coming over to the Premier League. But one for me stood out for Middlesbrough, Juninho.
Oh, yeah.
Who was absolutely superb. And it was at a time when Middlesbrough were signing a few high-profile players.
Like Ravanelli.
Ravanelli, Juninho.
Yeah.
Ravanelli scored a hat-trick on his debut against Liverpool, by the way.
Darren, thanks
I
for
wanted
that.
to bring that up just for you, Thomas.
Yeah.
But Juninho, one of them played about Ginola earlier on about how he lit up the Premier League. And Juninho did exactly the same. And he put Middlesbrough on the map in many ways. You know, they suddenly weren't in the shadow of the Newcastle and other teams in that area. And he just was a phenomenal player. And did he play much for Brazil? I don't know if he did. Because at the time,
well, certainly, think about the team they had at the time as well. I mean, Brazil were amazing at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when Fat Ronaldo was playing up front.
Yeah, Romario was well around there. 19
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, Darren, but I read somewhere that he was a test tube baby. Juninho.
See, I want to hear a joke then after that.
Yeah, why is that significant?
It's not. I read somewhere that he was made in a test tube.
You mean he was part of fertility treatment?
Well, something like that. But he was designed. He was like a designer baby.
That's such a random thing to say because
I read it in a paper.
There's loads of footballers that are probably created by a fertility treatment. You weirdo.
No, but he was made him one of them special
You
labs.
basically think he was like the $6 million man.
But a small version, yeah.
Simon, do we have drug or alcohol testing on the podcast?
I don't know, but we need to check his Budweiser.
We need to check Budweiser, yeah. Next week he'll go back to Sol. We'll speak to Sol.
All right, so listen, we can do this all day, but we're going to have to get to our top three soon. But before you do your top three, what other honourable mentions have you got?
I've got...
Let's do one each. We'll go round robin.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Georgie Kinkladze.
Oh, brilliant player. I love watching him. He was like a traditional winger, but would run at everyone.
He was just darting in and out all the time, and it was just bang, left foot, right foot. Really, and at the time, City weren't great, and he was almost the saviour, if you like. He came on, no one knew. I love players who no one knows comes on and the superstars. And I think he'll always go down in folklore for Man City.
Brilliant. Thomas?
I've got a few on my list. I'll just say them and not talk about them. I've got Hazard. I've got De Bruyne, Di Canio, Drogba, and obviously the man Ronaldo.
Yeah. See, you can't talk about the Premier League without him, but I do think what we're talking about is impact on the Premier League. I think he's got better and better as he's gone. When he was in the Premier League, he was outstanding, but certainly not as good as he's been over recent years. Another couple that I had, and Daz, I know you've got some more as well. Van Dijk has got to be up there, although it's too early in his career to be talking about him being the best import. Jan Molby, who didn't play in the Premier League, but I wanted to get a little bit of Jan Molby in there because he was outstanding. I loved him. One of my favourite players going up, so I'm putting him in. Eden Hazard. Another little magician. Brilliant player. Who else? Mohamed Salah.
Can I just stop you there? Are we just naming Liverpool players now in this podcast? Do you like?
Hazard didn't play for Liverpool.
But you wanted him to play for Liverpool?
Of course, yeah. Like, go on, Daz, who have you got?
I'm going to throw out Luka Modric.
Oh, yeah, quality.
Philip Albert.
Yeah.
Newcastle, centre-half.
Yeah. Remember that goal he scored against Man United?
Yeah. Brilliant goal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And people like Tony Yeboah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Those players who have... I think some of those players are in the Premier League for a short time, but have an impact and then they move on.
Yeah, we're not a fan of Yeboah.
He scored a great goal against Liverpool.
Yeah, Thomas is not anyway. All right, I've got a couple more. Vincent Kompany.
Yes.
Ruud van Nistelrooy. Robert Pires.
Yeah.
Who I thought was brilliant. Robin van Persie. And Juan Mata. Not for at United because he's not great at United, but at Chelsea he was brilliant.
Yeah.
I've noticed you haven't said Savo Milosevic. Is that we doing a podcast on him on our own?
All right. So let's go round and do the threes first. Who's number 3 on your list?
Thomas?
I can't decide. I'm struggling. I'm going to say... Oh, dear. I'm going to say... Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez. I did want him to be my number 1, and he was going to be until Simon said the impact that he had on the league. For the time that he played for Liverpool, I thought that if he'd have stayed with Liverpool, he would have gone down as being one of the all-time greats to ever grace the Premier League. He was that good. So Luis Suarez is my number 3.
Brilliant. Daz?
Goalkeeper Union, Peter Schmeichel.
Well done. I like that. That's a good one. All right. I'm going to go with number 3. Eric Cantona. One of Thomas's mates.
What are you playing at?
Eric Cantona. Again, I'm not a massive fan of his. I don't hate him as much as Thomas does, but his impact on United, I don't think there's been many players that have had an impact on a team like he had on United. He changed that team, made them into a Premier League winning team. Brilliant.
Are you getting paid by that? Is it Matthew Bashew? Because he likes him?
I had so many on my list, maybe. He was definitely going to be in my top 3.
Matthew's going to put a comment on that now, isn't he?
Listen, I'm just staying engaged with our French fans. All right, Tom, who's next?
Sorry, Tom, before you do that, can we not chase the ratings, lads? Can we just be honest to what it is?
Yeah. You just can't stand it because I picked a United player.
We both have.
Exactly, yeah. All right, Tom, go on.
I'm going to go with Dennis Bergkamp. He's just quality. He's a Rolls Royce of a forward. And he deserves to rightly be up there. And I'm not going to put his mate in there, so...
Yeah. All right, Daz, who have you got?
I'm going to go for Zola. Mum loved him as a player. And I just thought he just played the game out. People should play the game. Smile on his face. And he just graced the grass.
Yeah. So I would have gone with number 2. If he'd have stayed longer, Suarez would have been my number 2. But he didn't stay longer. He was outstanding for Liverpool. He did a great job for us, but he just didn't stay in the Premier League long enough. So I'm going with Dennis Bergkamp. If you're, in terms of ability, I don't think there are many that are close to him that have played in a Premiership over the years. And you listen to people who have played with him, alongside him, and they just can't speak highly enough of him. Brilliant player. All right, Thomas, we're down to number 1. Who have you got?
It was going to be Suarez until you told me, what it was based on impact and not on ability. So I'm going to go for Sergio Aguero. The reason being, every poll I've looked on, he's in the top 3. But your number 1 probably is going to be the guy that comes number 1 in all the polls. And I really can't stand him. So
don't ruin it.
Aguero, rightly so, number 1. Best out-and-out striker the Premiership, I think, has probably seen in a number of years.
Well, let's see. Daz?
I'm going for number 1, your guy's number 2, Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah.
I think for me, the touch he has was superb. And he came after a bad spell at Inter Milan, and to then pick himself back up. And he was superb for Arsenal, brought a lot of players into the game. Yeah, for me, top draw.
I hate to ruin this podcast for you, Daz, but someone who reminded me of Bergkamp at amateur level was your Paul.
And that's good night from me. God bless everyone. Take care.
What you just described at Premier League level, that was what your Paul was doing when we were playing for years. You couldn't get close to him. You used to get the ball and you couldn't get it off him. Anyway.
He used to have 2 balls, you see. One week.
Most of us have, Darren.
All right. So my number 1 is Thomas's good mate, Thierry Henry. Now, so I think it's really close. In the top 5, they're amazing, the players, for me. But Thierry Henry was streets ahead of anyone else. As a foreign import, as a striker, having an impact on a club. He was brilliant. He had pace, he had ability. He got better as the years went by. I thought actually when he went to Barcelona, may have been some of his best footballing years. He was brilliant at Arsenal and his impact was great. But how good he was on the ball, his control, his ability to bring other players into the game. He played in a bit of a different role as well because they played a different formation. But at Arsenal, what he'd do all the time is he'd hug the left and he'd cut in. And when he played for Barcelona, he got a little bit more freedom. They played him in a 3 up front and in different roles. And he was outstanding for them. He is, for me, Thierry Henry is number 1.
Simon, did he come from Juventus?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was only there for a year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played on a position as such. He played him at a winger, didn't he?
Yeah, played him left back, didn't he? Left wing, sorry.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
He didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Hey, well, his stats, I've got his stats here, say. He scored 174 goals in 254 appearances for Arsenal. And he scored 35 in 80 for Barcelona.
Yeah. Brilliant player.
I've scored 1 in 3 years. We can all quote stats.
Hey, are we going to say that every podcast?
Listen, my goal scoring is going to get spoke about on one podcast. I'm phoning Sean Butterworth up as we speak.
Yeah. All right. So I think that was really good. Obviously, surprised that Thomas didn't have 3 Liverpool players in the top 3. So that's progression, I think. I think we may have converted him a little bit, does?
Well, the more sessions we have, I think, for this therapy, the more likely he'll choose other players.
To be honest, I was very close to putting Van Dijk in there. Again, Simon did say about the impact that he's had. And I know Liverpool, touch wood, are going to go on and win the league this year. They were outstanding runners-up last year, and he's been nothing but superb since he joined Liverpool, Van Dijk, and is going to go down as one of the best centre-halves to grace the Premiership, without doubt. Again, he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
I'm looking forward to see what he turns into as well, because I don't know how you can get much better, but he's coming into his prime. You just wonder how much better he can get.
Yeah. I also think, what's he going to, look how good Joe Gomez alongside him. Yeah. And what a football and education playing alongside someone like him, and the confidence that must give you. He's already some player at 21 years of age. Yeah. Joe Gomez playing centre-half, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Amazing.
Yeah, he's doing great.
It must have been what Cy Watson felt like playing next to me. I now get it.
Yeah. All right. So let's give the crowd what they're waiting for. Thomas.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Who is on your wall of hate this week? Who are you mostly hating? And we know that there's a long list, and we know you don't like Thierry Henry, but come on, who is it?
I think we should do a poll on who we should add to this, by the way.
Yeah, no. It's your wall of hate. It's the Thomas Morris wall of hate.
Oh, I hate that.
If you give it to other people, you're not going to get the people you want.
I know. Well, I just like moaning about people. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week, this man is known for his punditry. I believe he may have been a decent player. I don't know. I heard that he used his head a lot more than his feet. So this week, my wall of hate is Andy Gray.
Of Everton fame?
I don't know. I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah,
I didn't really know Andy Gray as a footballer. It's way before my time, as I keep on saying to you. I'm still quite young.
Here we go.
But the way he does his punditry, honestly, if you'd never seen him play like I hadn't, you'd think he was on the level of George Best, Diego Maradona, Pele, up there with the greats, Kenny Dalglish. Well, was he? I don't think so. I heard he won a couple of trophies, and he won Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year. But I didn't know whether was there a pandemic in them years. I'm not too sure because if he was that good, you know, tell you what, he's an absolute weapon. The real reason I hate Andy Gray is he's just so smug and biased. He loves Everton and Man U. He absolutely loves them. And he hates Liverpool. He just never says nothing nice about them. It really gets on my nerves. So I heard that he left Villa to take a job up with Sky. And I heard at Villa they were made up to get rid of him because he was a crap coach. So he teamed up with Richard Keys. Now, if I'm going to be dead honest, this wall of hate was going to be Richard Keys. But the only things I could say about him were that close to the bone. We'd probably get sued. So I decided not to say anything about him. But Richard Keys is a weapon of mass destruction. He is an absolute tool. And all he does is just licks Andy Gray's ass. And agrees with absolutely everything he says. So he had to apologise to Sian Massey for saying and making comments that women don't know the offside rule. But to be honest, I think with VAR, I don't think anyone knows the offside rule anymore. He then goes on and gets sacked for sexist comments. So for that, this week, Andy Gray is going on my wall of hate.
Darren likes that because, he's a big fan of women's football.
Yeah, he is, yeah. I'm sure we're going to get to talk about that in the future.
That was a good one. So I did actually watch a bit of Andy Gray, and he was a quality footballer. Great centre forward at Everton anyway. I mean, I don't think he was as good at Villa, but he was great at Everton.
Was he at Wolves as well?
Wolves. So he was at Villa. I think we signed him from Scotland. He came down, and then he went to Wolves and Everton. Yeah. And by all accounts, I don't want any quotes on this, but Howard Kendall bought him, and they signed him, and the time was wrong. So they signed him, and on the clock, it had like 11:30, for example. But in real time, it was 12:10. But they wound the clock back and took the picture of him signing. And in them days, you didn't know because social media and all those things.
Yeah.
And so that's how they signed him. It was actually past the transfer deadline, but they moved the clock.
I don't know. Footballers these days.
I tell you what, clever. Yeah.
Was he any good? Does anyone know if he was any good?
He was a decent player, to be fair. I remember in the against Watford, didn't he do the header with Sherwood in goal? Yeah. That was quite controversial at the time. For Everton's, I don't know who scored the goal, but it was 84, was it? 84 FA Cup? Yeah, I think it was the 84 FA Cup against Watford. And a cross came in, he rose, headed it out of Sherwood's hands, the goalkeeper for Watford. But referee played on and Everton went on to win the cup. He
scored a few cracking diving headers. Yeah, he was just an old-fashioned centre-forward. He was fast, good with his head, good on the ball, and just mowed players down as well because he was strong. Really good player. Great for, I mean, but to be fair, in them years, Everton were brilliant.
Yes.
You had people like Sharp playing up front. Sharp, he was brilliant for Everton. And then Andy Gray in there with him as well. Did a great job.
And when you've got people crossing the ball like Sheedy and Stephen.
Yeah, you're doing all right, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right, so that was good. I enjoyed that one. Daz, we're getting some good feedback about your quiz question. So let's give the fans what they want.
Yeah, both of them. So this week's quiz type quiz question is, who am I? He played in Scotland and in England. He captained his country in a World Cup. He scored the most goals in the Champions League for a player from his country. He played the Olympic Games in his home country and scored 92 goals in the Premier League for 3 different teams. So, who am I?
Oh, that's a good one. Scotland and England.
Okay. I know it.
Do you? No.
Don't say nothing. Put it on the Facebook.
He doesn't know it anyway. He says that every week, does?
He put Thierry Henry anyway.
No. A Liverpool player?
Yeah.
No, I think I've got it. I know one player that played in England and Scotland.
Andy Gray.
Alan Hansen. All right, lads. So let's wrap this up. Daz, do you want to give us your final thoughts?
Okay, so I think the foreign players have coming over have enhanced our game. There's lots of players out there who are just world class, and I think without them, the Premier League wouldn't be what it is today. I think there's also a lot of players out there who, from foreign lands, should we say, who aren't as good as what we've got as English, and that there has to be a balance. And I'd like to see a few more English lads getting a chance.
Thomas?
I'd just like to thank Sky, really, for all of my subscription money that I've paid over the years, for bringing over these absolute worldies, because without them, you know, the league wouldn't be what it is and wouldn't be so good. So thanks, Sky.
Yeah, they've done a good job funding our Premier League over recent years, haven't they? But you're right. You know, there's no way that we get some of these players without Sky, without some of the investment money that's come into to the English game. And I totally take your point. I think we need to give the younger English players more of an opportunity. But we all agree that the Premier League wouldn't be the same without these foreign players. And, you know, a lot of these people start somewhere else and end up staying in England for the rest of their lives. They commit really well to the clubs. You see them around the clubs for years. It's great to see, and we've got some brilliant people on this list. I think the top 3, you could argue all day about them. We got 3 good top 3s out. Again, good to see that Thomas didn't pick just Liverpool players. Sorry. All right, lads. Thank you very much for everyone who's listening. Thanks for the feedback. Keep it coming. We'll get another one of these out soon, and we'll speak to you on the next one.
Cheers. Thanks, lads.
Cheers. Bye.